Welcome to the Stardom Situm Show presented by Bridgestone Tires. I'm Michael F. Florio, he's Adam Rank, and Rank, week one was so much fun. Are you ready to do it all again this week?
Oh, I am ready and willing and ready to go. It feels like a brand new week because you know why? It is. And whatever happened last week doesn't matter anymore. So we're going to go out there and get you a dub this week, whether you won last week or not. We're going to get you that dub.
Yeah. And just a reminder, everyone should head over and check out Rank's full Stardom Situm article at NFL.com/startsit. This guy, he pours hours of sweat, tears, and I was told blood. I don't know why, but yeah. I heard all of that goes into this article every week, so everyone should check it out. And Rank, let's start by taking a look at your week 2 Stardom quarterbacks.
Yeah, so here's what we got going right now. Obviously, Jalen Hurts has a little bit of a tough matchup against the San Francisco 49ers, but I think that once he goes out this week and has 24 points against the 49ers, we can now answer every question with that. He's a must start each and every week. This is his opportunity right here. I feel really bad having Tyrod on the Situm list. His tape is really good. Like, he played exceptional. It wasn't just beating the Jags. He was exceptional. I don't like the matchup this week against the Cleveland Browns, one of the better defenses in the NFL, but somebody you might want to pick up and stash at some point.
It is time for Prepared to Perform, presented by Bridgestone Tires. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into some of these Stardom quarterbacks you like, Rank. And one was Ryan Tannehill at Seattle this week. You have him as a start. Last week, a little bit of a down week against the Cardinals, but you're not scared off of him at all.
No, I mean, there's a reason why we drafted him. We really have seen enough of his body of work with the Tennessee Titans to realize that he is somebody that should be starting each and every week. And I don't want to be scared off by 1 week, the beginning of the season. These kind of games happen. I'm not going to think about it too much. One thing that we did like, though, is he did get a rushing touchdown. So last season had 7 rushing touchdowns. This year starts off the year with a rushing touchdown. And so before you panic and look to some of the guys who had great weeks last week, guys like Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow, and even Jameis Winston, I think that it's better just to stick with Ryan Tannehill for another week. If this starts to become a trend, then yeah, we can adjust moving forward. But I think for right now, we're going to stick with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, I agree. I would play Ryan Tannehill over all those names you said as well. But what about another quarterback that had a down week last week and Matt Ryan facing a tough Bucs defense? You're not scared at all. You're saying go back for some more Matty Ice, right?
Well, I am, because last season, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they played them in weeks 15 and 17 when the Buccaneers were fully operational and ready to go and rolling through the NFL. Matt Ryan had some pretty good games against them. So I, again, just feel confident. I had to pick up Matty Ice in a number of leagues because I got too smart, waited too long on a quarterback, forgetting that you play with randos who pick backup quarterbacks in a 10-team league. So I'm going to stick with them because I have a stack with Calvin Ridley. So I'm willing to give it one more chance. It was awful in week 1, but again, Matt Ryan, we've seen him year in, year out, be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. So I'll roll with it.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't be the first time that Matt Ryan has had a good game against a good defense. We know that this guy, they come randomly sometimes, but he has some big games in him. But those are 2 quarterbacks that had a slow week 1. And then you're saying to start, but now we have a quarterback that threw 5, not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 5 touchdown passes.
5 times.
And
5 times.
And you're saying sit Jameis Winston.
Listen, this gives me no pleasure. Like, I don't want to turn this column into a thing of like we're bashing Jameis Winston every week because I had him as a start last week too. But I still want to have a little temper our enthusiasm, just a touch. Listen. I like what he did. I really like that they were more cautious with his throw, although here's one of the deep balls. But his air yards were down from 2019, which shows me they're trying to have him be more selective of when he's taking his shots. When you are being very effective with short, intermediate throws, then you can make those pop plays. But the one thing that I will note, the Packers didn't get a lot of pressure on him. According to Next Gen Stats, they pressured him on just 20% of his throws. Compare that to the Carolina Panthers, who got pressure on Zach Wilson 40% of the time. So it'll be a little bit of a switch this week. Jameis still did have one of his patented end zone interceptions that got nullified by a penalty, but it still happened. Like, I know, like, it doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but it still happened. I just want to make sure that Jameis is going out there, that this is the Jameis that we saw on Sunday. It doesn't have to be 5 touchdowns. 5. I just want to make sure that he's still making good decisions. Listen, I would say pick him up, put him on your roster, and then if he goes out there and knocks it out of the park this week, then I think he's a must start probably week to week.
I like that call a lot, Rank. And as someone who started him last week, that interception doesn't count. It
doesn't count. It doesn't count. Yeah. Don't go Claybon on me. It still happened. By the way, Reggie Bush, like they took away his Heisman. It still happened. I saw him run through Fresno State. Like it's fine. It's not in the stat sheet, but it happened. I witnessed it.
With his own eyes, he witnessed it. But Rank, I witnessed something that you posted on Instagram, a poll this week asking who you should start, Rodgers or Brady. What did the people say?
What did the people say? Let's take a look here. I legitimately have this question. Tom Brady, 71%. Now, this is on my Instagram that has over 100,000 followers. I would still say no. I'm trying to say that I don't have a lot of followers. I just have 100,000. Like, it's not like I have 1 million. I'm not Matt Berry. I'm saying this. My fan base. Look at me. I feel really full of myself this morning. My fan base. Listen, Michael, let me tell you something about my fan base. No. It's very Chicago centric though. I think I have more followers from Roscoe Village than anywhere else. So here's my thing. Take that with a grain of salt. I really do. Can I talk about Aaron Rodgers here? Is this where I can talk about him? Let me tell you one thing, and I don't want to belabor this point. Aaron Rodgers, in his last 4 regular season losses, and remember, he was coming off a loss because you might not remember, they got blown out in the NFC Championship game. In his last 4 regular season losses, the following week, he has thrown 4 touchdowns and no picks in every single one of those 4 games. Now he's going up against the Lions, and I know the Lion fans are in my mentions like, we always play him tough. Like, stop it. He is going to destroy that team. He is going to throw 4 touchdowns again. He's not going to throw a pick. He's never thrown 2 picks in back-to-back games, I think, ever. In his go read Stardom Sit 'em. I've laid this all out. I don't want to give him too much credit again. But you're starting Aaron Rodgers, and if it doesn't go well this year or this week, then bench him for Jameis moving on.
Yeah, I would go with angry Aaron Rodgers here over Tom Brady as well. I like them both, but Rank, not only does Rodgers come out great after losses, since 2016, he's averaging over 25 fantasy points against this Lions team. He has thrown multiple passing touchdowns in every game, and at least 3 in half of them. I think he goes off this week against Detroit, because who wants to go against angry Rodgers? But coming up, Saquon and Zeke combined for under 10 Saquon and Zeke combined for under 10 fantasy points last week. Just 10 points. Will they bounce back in week 2, or should you hit the panic button? We'll cue you in next. Welcome back to the Stardom Stidham Show presented by Bridgestone Tires. I'm Michael F. Florio. He's Adam Rank in his awesome rock shirt. And Rank, let's take a look at your starts and sits at the running back position heading into week 2.
Oh, I would love to do that right now. Jonathan Taylor, Chris Carson. I don't know why everybody sleeps on Chris Carson. And remember when people were like, I don't want to take a Patriots running back. Yeah, dude carried the ball like 24 times. And then Mark Ingram, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry. Texans whatever. Mike Davis, tough matchup. They're so tough against the run. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And then some of my sleepers, Elijah Mitchell, Javonte Williams. Dude, fire up both your Broncos running backs this week.
I like it, but Rank, one player who wasn't on your board, but everyone is worried about, maybe myself included, is Saquon Barkley. He plays tonight in a tough matchup against Washington on NFL Network, so be sure to watch. But how much do you like Saquon Barkley in this matchup tonight, Rank?
Yeah, by the way, I'm not taking the coward's way out because I just know that the column lives throughout the weekend. And if Saquon, it's not going to help anybody on Saturday morning to be reading about Saquon Barkley. I'm more apprehensive about him this week than I was in week 1 because it's been the short week. And that is the one thing that really stood out to me. It's like, hey, it's a short week. They might not use him as much. They did run him last week. It wasn't great, but they did run him. But now if I'm looking, and let me pull up the rankings here. I'm not going to pull up yours. I'm going to go to Fantasy Pros. No, listen, I'm just going to I want to take a conglomeration. But if you look, I would start Damian Harris over him, Kareem Hunt, Darrell Henderson. I think Myles Gaskin, that's where it starts to get close. I think I would go Myles Gaskin because he's going to be involved in the running game. I would go Melvin Gordon, Elijah Mitchell. I would start over him as well. This is we're getting into some names. These are not household names. I think once we get to Josh Jacobs, that's where, because Josh Jacobs is battling an injury too, where I'm like, okay, I think that's where we can stop. But are there any big ones that you think of what's the weirdest one you would start over Saquon this week?
I mean, all the names you said, Elijah Mitchell is one that I never would have expected to say I would use over Saquon in week 2, but I would. I think for me, it's like Josh Jacobs in that range. The Baltimore running backs are where I start to get a little tripped up if I could actually use those players over Saquon. But I would be trying to get Saquon on my bench for all the reasons you said. But I will say, next week he gets the Falcons after a long rest.
There it is.
Go out and try to buy low if he has a bad game on Thursday night. Rank, moving though to another running back who struggled in week 1, Ezekiel Elliot. He had just 33 rushing yards against a tough Bucs defense. Fans are freaking out now, though. Do you expect a big bounce back for Zeke against the Chargers on Sunday?
Oh, yeah. Everybody's got to chill, brah. Take it easy. It's Ezekiel Elliott, who you obviously drafted in the first round. He was playing without Zach Martin, going up against the defending Super Bowl champions who are very tough against the run. It wasn't a situation where we were sitting Ezekiel Elliott. You're not sitting your first round running back. I'm sorry, you just can't do that. But it wasn't a matchup. Let's just say this, Mike. It wasn't like we were going out and playing him in DFS. We all know, this is not a surprise, and you shouldn't freak out. And so you move on. They got a better-ish matchup this week against the LA Chargers. I don't know that it's perfect, but still home game for the Cowboys. I know what I said. I just think that this is going to be I know what I said. I just think this is going to be an opportunity for him to go out there and bounce back.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rank. Last week against the Bucs, they were the team that allowed the fewest rushing yards in each of the last 2 seasons. So it was just a brutal matchup. You started him, like me, I started him and I lost with him, but I'm not panicking yet. If he struggles in week 2, then I think I will start to panic. But let's move on to the wide receivers. Who are some guys that you're saying to start and who are some guys you're saying to sit this week?
Well, I mean, Jamar Chase is going to be on this list. And I know some people, speaking of DFS, are like, I'm playing him in DFS. And you're like, bro, everybody is going to play him in DFS. But also Mike Williams from that game, Deontay Johnson. Chris Godwin has played really well over against the Atlanta Falcons over the year. And then I don't have a lot of receivers I don't like. I don't like that DJ Chark had 12 targets and just 3 receptions. I thought that was kind of bad. And then Quintez Cephas, because I don't know. I don't know. When in doubt, like make fun of the Lions. Like it's hard, Mike. It is so hard with receivers. Like someday this column will be yours, and you'll understand. Like when you come to you're like, yeah, I can make a case for this guy. Like you're looking at wide receiver 50, be like, well, if they're in a blowout, like it's tough. It is even worse than like trying to find the kickers you don't want to start. Finding the receivers you don't want to start is always more difficult.
No, I get it because I rank up to 60 wide receivers and I'm always struggling because there's a couple of names that I want to include that just don't make the cut. Receiver is the deepest position in football, but Rank, let's focus on Ja'Marr Chase with a big week 1. He's now going up against your Bears this week. Who are some names that you would start him over? And if he has a good game this week, do we just start him weekly without even thinking about it?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think that's going to be much of a question. And I think it's starting to feel that way because, again, people want to fire him up in DFS because of the big plays that the Bears gave up last week. Hopefully they can clean that up a little bit. The one thing that I would caution, especially in DFS, is that he wasn't getting as targeted as much as his points would indicate, but I still feel pretty confident starting him over guys like Juju. I think Robbie Anderson, that was one play for him. Robbie Anderson, and I know, Mike, we should probably talk about this some point in the future. Terrace Marshall is coming, and he's going to be there soon. Like, he is going to be taking over that spot. I just feel it. But I still feel pretty comfortable. I don't know. The one weakness of the Bears' defense is the secondary, especially at the cornerback position. They're bringing in a couple of guys, working them out. Oh, I don't know. I guess you would fire up all 3 of these Bengals wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm using T. Higgins in a couple of spots myself. I like Ja'Marr Chase, but Rank, there's another wide receiver that you're saying to start this week because he reminds you of another receiver who had a good game last week, and that's Cooper Kupp. And before you say who he reminds you of, we found out the other day that Cooper Kupp has been having breakfast with Matt Stafford every day. He used to live with Jared Goff. Cooper Kupp kind of gives me teacher pet vibes.
Oh, 100%. Like, he's the guy. Cooper Kupp was probably wearing a Clayton Kershaw jersey the first time that oh, you mean this old thing? Like, of course, I'm a Clayton Kershaw fan, whoever that is. And then, he's broing up with him and everything. Like, it's unsightly, but I mean, like, it's the way to go. But you talk about that play. Can we run it? I had Hytham, our producer, go out there and pull the tape. Him and Tyler Lockett. Both, like, I don't want to watch this Bears game, but these 2 plays, if you look at the next gen stats, you can go look at the route charts, and Lockett and Kupp scored on virtually identical plays. This is against the Bears with nobody. Like, what in the name of Chris Conti is going on there, Chicago? And then Tyler Lockett is one of the more slept on. What a great move. Like, he just made a great move. Cooper Kupp just ran. At least Tyler Lockett made a little bit of a move there. But I think it shows some vulnerabilities with that Colts defense. And you know what? The NFL is a copycat league. And you know that the Rams coaches were going in and looking at what Tyler Lockett did, what made him so successful against the Colts. And you know that Cooper Kupp's going to be doing a lot of that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the only difference in those 2 plays is Tyler Lockett at least had a defender within like 20 yards of him. I don't know where the Bears were doing on that Cooper Kupp play. Sorry, Rank.
You don't need to rub it in.
There was literally no Bears player on that video of Cooper Kupp. But I agree. I like Cooper Kupp as a start a lot this week. But Rank, we have some fan questions to answer. They want to know who they should be playing this week. So first up, they want to know if they should be starting Deebo Samuel or Antonio Brown in their flex spot this week.
Well, oh my gosh. Now I know going to your rankings. By the way, go to Florio's rankings first and foremost. I know it's fun to check out other things. I know how Florio thinks. I wanted to see how the rest of the world thinks. Always go to Florio's rankings. And I know this because you have Deebo and AB back to back. I don't know. I kind of want to go with Deebo again. I think it's kind of like point chasing a little bit to be like, he did. Well, they both had great games. So you're point chasing with either one of these guys. I just think that the evidence last year showed us that when Deebo, Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk are all healthy, they still love Deebo. And I think this might be a situation where Tom Brady is going to be funneling targets to Mike Evans this week, just to be like, like Tom Brady doesn't like bread, but he likes all of his receivers. So he's going to try to spread the wealth. So So I'm going to go with Debo. I know it's a dumb way to figure this out, but I'm talking it through, Mike. I don't know how you came to your decision either.
I like both of these players a lot, but my thinking is very similar to yours. Debo is at least one of two big targets there, with Brandon Ayuk kind of vanished to the bench right now. But Antonio Brown still has Gronk there, Evans, Godwin, so I just think the targets are a little safer for Debo. But I would try to play both of them if you can. Moving on, though, to the next question. They asked Scary Terry, DJ Chark, Marv Jones, or pick up Tim Patrick here. So Joe needs to know, Rank, which one of these four receivers would you fire up?
I like this question because I think like people would be automatically pointing towards Terry McLaurin. They're like, "What? Why is this a question?" Be like, no. James Bradbury's there. It's one of the best secondaries in football. This is a very valid concern. But what we saw last season is that Terry McLaurin did very well against the Giants. There's no need to worry about the James Bradbury factor. And even with Taylor Heineke as the starting quarterback, I'm still really confident. And as a bonus for anybody out there who's listening or watching, last year when Taylor Heineke was the quarterback, he loved Logan Thomas. So if you're worried about Logan Thomas, you didn't get your question in or anything like that, Logan Thomas is an excellent start this week.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you again, Rank. We're 2 for 2. I'm saying go with Terry McLaurin here. I think he's matchup proof almost. We saw that wizardry type catch he made on the sideline. Like, the guy could do it all. And Heineke, I know we have concerns there, but he's a downfield thrower. At least he has been so far in his career. So
why are we down? Wait, why are people down on Taylor? I thought last year in that playoff game that he looked like I wouldn't have been surprised if Washington had started the year with him.
Yeah, I think he's better than he gets credit for, but people always freak out anytime we see a starter go down and a backup come in. So I think he's better than he gets credit for, though. So that is both of us agreeing. Go with Terry McLaurin there. What about this final question, Rank? Brandon Cooks or Hollywood Brown? Champa Bay. They're really riding with that. Champa Bay there needs to know which one of these two to start.
You know what? I think I know that I don't like starting Tyrod, I'm not looking at starting Mark Ingram, but I think I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks. This was a player that I grabbed in almost every one of my drafts, or at least I tried to. He was one of the players I targeted because I remember coming into the season saying that if the Texans are as bad as we think that they are, Brandon Cooks is going to be the biggest benefactor because he is going to be getting targets tunneled his way all season. And if this turns into a game where the Browns get ahead and the Texans are in scramble mode trying to catch up, who is getting all those targets? It's going to be Brandon Cooks. He is a solid start each and every week. And I would even say right now, go take a look around your league. I'm sure that Brandon Cooks is on somebody's bench. I wouldn't mind making a deal for him because I think this is going to be consistent for the entire season. This guy's been traded for like a first round. Like he gets more you get more in return for a Brandon Cooks trade than you do for a DeAndre Hopkins trade.
All Brandon Cooks does is get traded and give the team that trades for him a 1,000-yard season. We're gonna go 3 for 3 here, Rank, because I agree with Cooks. Not only is last week was a game where they were playing with the lead and he saw a bunch of targets. He could see twice as many targets as Marquise Brown this week. But last week, Rank, you and I nailed our starts of the week with Adam Thielen and Jalen Hurts. Can we do it again? Find out which players we are saying are locks to go off on Sunday. You're watching the Stardom Situm Show presented by Bridgestone Tires. It's time for the Colonel's Start of the Week presented by KFC. Some ticket sounds really good right now, Rank. What else sounds really good is some players that we can guarantee will score at least 25 fantasy points this week. Who do you like?
This is going to be my extra crispy start of the week. I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts going up against that Los Angeles Rams team. Obviously, there's no guarantee that the Rams are going to try to defend the Colts the same way that they defended the Chicago Bears when they allowed David Montgomery to run for a lot of yards. And really, the only thing that kept Montgomery from having an even bigger game was Matt Nagy pulling him out. I don't think that's going to be a problem this week. Jonathan Taylor, strong runner, one of the best offensive lines in the game. And he also got a lot of targets out of the backfield. So I think that it was a weird offseason for Jonathan Taylor, who went from at one point being the number 2 pick in the draft to being like, is he a second rounder? Because there were some injuries and some other things, but he's a lock solid player. He's going to get you 25 points. They're right there. 7 targets, 6 receptions. That's huge. So you talk about it, Mike, like targets are better than rushes and he's getting them. So make sure he's starting.
Yeah, he was their leading receiver in week 1. I love that call, Rank. And if he is the extra crispy chicken on this, I guess, dish that we're making, Austin Ekeler's like all the sides and the biscuits and everything, because I think Ekeler goes off this week against the Cowboys. Last week was a weird week for Ekeler. He did not see any targets. I expect that to change. But what was great for Ekeler was he was being used near the goal line. He scored a touchdown. I believe every touch they had inside the 10-yard line for running backs went to Austin Ekeler, and that is what we were concerned about coming into the year. We know they're going to throw the ball to him. And this week against the Cowboys, which I think could be a very high-scoring game with both teams putting up a lot of points, I think we will see Austin Ekeler used in the passing game a lot more. They really didn't have to last week. So I like Austin Ekeler to go off for at least 25 points this week. And if both Taylor and Ekeler do rank, my fantasy teams will be very happy. But we are here to make other people's fantasy lineups very happy. And the tight end position is one that comes with a bunch of question marks. So, Rank, this week, who are you saying to start and sit at the tight end position?
Well, I think that Tyler Higbee is somebody that needs to be started. Rob Gronkowski, probably not going to go 8 for 8 for 90 and 2 touchdowns, but I think he, again, needs to be started. Bob Tunyon. Jonnu Smith, I've decided this very quickly. He is the tight end to have in New England. Mike Gesicki, dude, what was that? At least you gave me 0. I think having like 1 reception for 12 yards is always worse than 0. Like 0, you're just like, all right, the guy just, like, I don't know what happened. Jawan Johnson, you probably picked up off the waiver wire. He's going to be very touchdown dependent. Don't bench Gronk or somebody like that for Jawan Johnson. I think he's worth having on your roster, but let's just wait a second and see what happens this week against Carolina.
Completely agree. But one name that caught my eye that you have as a start is Noah Fant going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He saw a lot of volume in week 1, and there's no more Jerry Jeudy there. So who are some names that you would start Fant over this week?
Why did it catch your eye? I'm curious. Why did this name, like you just said a lot of nice things about Noah Fant. Why did that catch your eye, Michael? No, listen. But it is, I think it's where he lands on the rankings, because I know that you probably had a very tough time with this as well, because he's right in that range with guys like Dallas Goedert, Rob Gronkowski, I think even Tyler Higbee, all these guys who are starts for me as well. Like, where is this evening out? And I think for Noah Fant, the most important thing to remember is that Jerry Jeudy is going to be out. And thankfully that's not season ending and he'll be back soon. But for the time being, the pass catchers who need to step up are Cortland Sutton, who is still working his way back from injury. KJ Hamler, who dropped a sure touchdown. Tim Patrick's always solid, but I think it's going to be Noah Fant who really steps up and becomes the most targeted pass catcher in this offense. I expect Teddy Bridgewater to be going after him repeatedly. So I love Noah Fant. And again, starting him over Gronk, which is a very difficult decision for me. I don't like saying things like that, Mike. You know me. I'm a Gronk guy. And it pains me to say this. But yeah, you got to go. You got to go with Noah Fant. Where did you have him in your rankings? Remind me.
I was going to say, I have him right after the Cinco, the big five tight ends that we always start without question. I have Fant right after that because of everything you said. I think the volume is going to go his way. I think he's a good fit with Teddy Bridgewater as well. I would start him over Gronk myself, although I don't have to make that decision in any of my leagues. But before we go, Rank, I want to tell everyone to be sure to watch Rank, myself, and the rest of the crew Sunday mornings on NFL Fantasy Game Day. We're taking you all the way up to kickoff with the latest news, top starts, sits, and a whole lot more. You can check it out on the NFL Fantasy app, the NFL app, NFL.com, Facebook, and on YouTube. Basically anywhere you get your fantasy football content, you could find us talking on Sunday morning. But Rank, before we say goodbye to the good people, do you have any wisdom that you want to give them for week 2?
Well, first of all, let me just thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. I know Michael and I really do appreciate it. We put a lot of effort into this. So if you read and enjoy the column, we appreciate that. But also, Michael does a great job with the rankings. Make sure you check those out. If we can't get to your tweets, if we don't answer anything on the phone, make sure you're checking out his rankings.
Appreciate that, Rank. And always, as always, make sure to read the entire Stardom Stidham. So much information packed into it, and you get to set your lineups after you read it. But that is going to do it for us today. Thank you for watching the Stardom Stidham Show presented by Bridgestone Tires.